Father Louis Scurti with memories of growing up in downtown Jersey City called the Village area. I grew up on 4th Street between Brunswick and Monmouth Streets. Brunswick was the shopping street, Monmouth Street, homes and shopping stores. So grandfather, Constantina, would pick me up as a child on maybe Monday mornings. I would go and wait for him on the stoop. And Grandpa would come by, and I'd probably look like this without Charlie McCarthy, of course. And I would hop on the cart that he had. Now, this was made out of vegetable box. So it was a container, 4 wheels. And in the container, in this big box, was a huge bag of laundry. On top of that was Nellie, the dog. On top of that, I would hop. And we would go traka to 3rd Street to the laundromat. We would pick up clean clothes and bring them back to Monmouth Street. My grandmother would greet us. She's always cooking. She was always, I don't know why she was always cooking. I guess 5 boys and herself and Grandpa. She was always cooking. She was always in the kitchen. And she used to have one of those little aprons that go around the neck and go down the front and tie in the back. And to torment her, Uncle Joe and I used to sneak up behind her and pull the string from the apron. The apron would open up and she'd say some Italian delicacies. Holy Rosary was a wonderful experience. Everything was directed toward the church. All of our social life, our activities, our processions, everything toward the church. The holidays. Let's begin with Christmas. Midnight Mass. We would get there like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Michael would be sleeping. My older brother would be sleeping. Mom and I would go to church. Dad would stay home with Michael. And growing up, we'd be there early, new surplice, new cassock, and our bows. Our bows were ironed, not made into a bow yet, ironed. And there were so many wonderful memories of the seminarians who would come in and be with us Christmas Eve, and their job was to make the bows. So we had big white collars. They would make the big red bow for Christmas and white for Easter, and we wouldn't move. And we'd process. We had to be 30 kids. We'd process, hold the candles, process into Mass, and to the music of Tu scendi dalle stelle, You Came Down from the Stars, the classic Christmas carol for the Italians. Holy Rosary still standing today and beautiful as ever through the renovation of various pastors, thank God, and the parishioners who contributed to this renovation. The oldest Italian parish in New Jersey. It's still standing today and still very active. Go. You should all go. Go look at it. It hasn't changed much in the years, but it's been updated. So Christmas would be our major celebration to begin the year. Really ending the calendar year, but as we moved into the year. The next great season would be spring and Easter. But the summer were special. The summers was special. The summers had Festa de San Rocco, Madonna Assunta, Madonna Rosario, San Antonio, and a few others. Okay? I was honored to paint the statue that was housed at Casa Colombo. The streets were packed with people. Every society in the parish, the Rosary Society, the Mary Altar Society, Knights of Columbus, CYO, all of us marched in procession with the Italian band going da-da, da-da, and we left the church after solemn high mass with fireworks exploding, and the procession would begin, and all the streets of downtown, all the village streets, way up to Cole Street and Grove, and in other parish areas, there were a lot of parishes. Everyone was ethnic. And whenever a basket of flowers was being presented to the statue, filled with money, dollars and dollars and dollars, and sometimes more than dollars, the band would stop, the statue would face the home, music would play, Sometimes the fireworks would go off, and the basket would be placed onto the cart that was in procession. October, we had the procession in honor of Our Lady of the Rosary. Same format, but through the streets as we're walking, and Father Santoro would be in a car with a microphone saying the Rosary. All through downtown Jersey City, praying the Rosary, people coming out of their homes. If they weren't marching with us, they were standing alongside the sidewalks watching and praying with us. Days of great faith. We would go into the Polish section, we would go into the black section, we would go into the Irish section. Didn't matter. We were all people of Jersey City, downtown. A fabric of color and vibrancy. Then we would have the feasts. Now, each of the saints that I mentioned had a procession. Some of them had feasts. St. Anthony had his feast. Saints Cosmas and Damian, that was September. St. Costanza, woo, that was a big one. That was June, St. Costanza. Don't know the history of him, but he was an early Christian soldier, Roman soldier who converted, and of course was probably martyred, so Costanza. And each of these statues that are in the church came from different paese in Italy. So each paese would have their own statue. They even had one, and he was a Greek saint. I can see his face. I can see the statue. My mother used to call him, this is the saint for the Gekidas. She always had an accent. That was the Greeks. That was the saint. Saint Demetrius. He was the saint for Gekide, the Greeks. The streets would be lined with lights, and old trays and little booths would be set up for food and entertainment and singing. There would be a big bandstand. This would take place usually like from a Thursday to a Sunday. Then Sunday night, after the procession and the festivities were over, we'd all process to Number 5 Park, Mary Benson Park, where they would have spectacular fireworks. Spectacular. We would line the school, the steps around the park, because the fireworks were in the park. I would sit on my father's shoulders because I was small, and my father was bald. And when the fireworks were exciting, I would go bing, 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 bing on his head. Basta, he'd say. But they were wonderful experiences. They're still in me. They're not only memories, they're emblazoned in my heart and my memories. Okay, I'm going to stop here. My parish was Holy Rosary, and my neighborhood was the Italian section, the village.